Good morning. Hello. Why do I got to be so goofy in the morning? I don't know. Maybe it's because I just want everybody to be so jazzed up and ready to go. Start our day. You know what I mean? Good morning, Margaret, Connie, my father, Dana. But yes, good morning. Welcome to Mid Morning Medium Chat with Adam the Black Swamp Medium. Thank you so much for being here on this, what's going to be a very warm day for a lot of us. So, are we not excited? Well, at least those that are in the northwest, southeastern Michigan areas. Yes, good morning, Tina, Tammy, Nicole, Ramona, Rhonda, Jennifer. Good to see you all. Hope you're all doing well. Yeah, I mean, talk about warm. I mean, it's a little different. I mean, depending on what your uh weather choices are, as far as whether it's an app or your local news. I mean, the one I saw was saying for me closer to 70 degrees, but then another one was saying it's a little bit less than that. But hey, it's going to be above 60 degrees. I'm not going to complain. Not too bad for uh a couple days into March. You know what I mean? Sorry, I'm moving some windows around so I can see my stuff. Um, but yeah, I mean, how freaking cool is that? I'm excited to even get outside for a little bit. Hey, Rachel, good morning. And thank you, Nicole. Uh, you know, uh, yeah, I mean, like I said, it's fantastic to get this little brief weather window. But I think it was funny because uh I was looking at the about an hour or so ago, it was like 36 degrees out, and I'm going, wow, talk about a skyrocket. I mean, even if it gets just over 60, I mean, still to go from 30s, a big 30, 35-degree jump. I mean, Shannon, good morning. Coffee cheers to you. Hey, Jennifer, thank you so much. Hey, Dinah, good morning. So, yeah, it was, so that was pretty exciting to see, which I think is always neat. You get this unbelievable temperature changes, and then the next thing you know, you're like, it's like this, and I remember at work, I was, there was one point at work yesterday. I had to work with a bunch of coworkers, and I caught the other one finishing up he was kicking off a meeting that was going on, and so I waited for him, but we were talking to the client, and we were joking about the weather, and I work up in Michigan, so it was hilarious was that we said it's a thing, or there's memes that go around all the time in Michigan that just completely, to the gist of you know what more can you do when you can experience all the seasons in a day, and so we're all laughing, but it's true. I mean, like today, I mean, it's sitting there, it's freezing out, it was, and now the temperature's slowly rising, so it's hilarious. But good morning, Lori. And yeah, it's just great. So hopefully those that are experiencing this little warm up will have a chance to get outside. I think I'm going to get outside myself for a little bit. um, just because I mean, who knows? I mean, it could dive. I haven't looked at the next full week, but I think it does get back down in like a 40s and things like that. I mean, even then, I think there's even a chance of snow on Monday now. So not that we should be talking about weather reports, but I just think it's fascinating. But more importantly, you guys know I like to preach about getting yourself outside, getting back out into nature, even if it's not your thing, but just being able to stick your head out a window, and just take in that air and really feel connected to it, because you can get a lot of self-healing from nature. And like I said, I've talked about it many times, but I can't stress it enough. And if you really open yourself up when you stick your head out a window, you know it just can do so much when you let go. So but yeah, so it is great to, we are finally into March, and this is usually, I feel a little bit better about things when it comes to driving to work. The less likely of a super major snowstorm happening starts to diminish once we get into March, so I'm very happy about that. Because we definitely had some bad ones, that popped up, and it's not good. So but but yep. So, but yeah, so hopefully everybody's had a good week. Right, Dad? Wear the Ides of March. Exactly. You never know about those March time frames. But yeah, so uh, uh pretty decent week. Like I said, you guys, a lot of you got to catch it, and obviously you didn't be, tried to give some warning. Like I said, I wanted to do a full on pop up. Not really much of a pop up because I obviously announced it ahead of time, but we did a live reading show Wednesday night, and a lot of you made it, and a lot of you got some readings that especially some that are in the chat. You guys got a chance to take a look at that and get some messages. Like I said, the only hard part about it is just trying to get to everybody, and obviously it didn't. It was difficult to when I looked at what I did, when, as I said, I talked for maybe about 5 minutes or so, and then we got into it, and it's amazing that even like 50 some minutes of straight readings, I got through 10 people and still had, or no, I got through 12 people and I still had 10 to go. And I have accomplished all that yesterday. During my lunch hour, I was able to reach back out to the people that I didn't, get one, and, get a couple messages over to them. And I put that in the chat. So, I mean, um, so that was cool. Some of them were really good. I was really happy about that, to get that done, because it was crazy was, yeah, Lori, we can work it out. I mean, there's going to be, there is going to be more more live reading shows where it's just quick messages, and the next one, at least the next reading show, will probably be like what I've talked about before. So in case you didn't catch one of those when I talked about it even last year, it was an idea was I would do a true pop-up show where it's unannounced. It'll just happen sometime during the week, in the evenings, of course, because obviously I got to work during the day, but it's going to be unannounced. It's just going to light. The show's going to pop up. And if you make it, then it was meant to be. And if you didn't, that's okay too. It doesn't change anything. It doesn't mean anything. But I wanted it to be a little bit more organic in a way to where it's, when everything is aligned and you're just happen to be there, that's the cool part. And I think that kind of reaches out into the other realms of things. And so you might just have this feeling to look at your phone, and then sure enough, I'm, alive, and you're like, why didn't he say it? But it'd be like, oh yeah, he was going to do things like this. So good morning, Tanya. Um, Pearl, well, it's not today. So my morning shows on Saturday are not, based for that. I've only done it one time, and that was just because of a big thank you. So, any reading things I do for on a live will definitely be either announced or, like I just said, it'll be a quick pop up. So you'll just always have to keep watching. I still want to do a flute performance. So I still haven't decided on a date for that. And I still wanted to get that guided meditation event set up. So that one's going to be free for everybody. But I have to do that through a different means. It's not going to be like this. It's going to be basically through a Zoom. Because of the fact that I'm going to have some light music in the background. So that way it can help a lot of others just relax. Because when you haven't done as much meditation as I have, it's very difficult to adjust to it. And, my voice can only carry so much. And so, hey, Jeremy, good morning, sir. And, well, Ramona, there wasn't one yesterday. What I did was I just typed out. So Wednesday's live reading show, what happens is if I didn't get to somebody, and I promised, like I said, anybody I didn't get to live, those that were there that asked for one would still get one. It would just be typed out. So Ramona, you might have to look in your notifications in Facebook, and it should pop up. And then I went to one of your comments for the people, the 10 people that didn't get one. I went to one of your comments in the live show that night, and then put the message in there. So Ramona, I did give one to you. So you might, if you didn't see it in your notifications, you could probably just go back to that show from Wednesday and just kind of scroll for your name, and then you'll see that I wrote you, on there. But yeah, so I mean, that's so that's how that worked out. But yeah, so these morning shows are just meant for us to kind of talk and wake up and just kind of hang out. This one, I've got some things I'm going to talk about. I didn't have like what I've been trying to do this year was have a classic topic, and there just wasn't anything that stood out really big for me this week. Now, some of the things I'm going to kind of talk about, which is like what I normally do in the beginning, might fill it. We might fill a little bit of the time, which could create into it. But at any point, you guys can more than willing to stop me wherever I'm at. And if you have any burning questions, mediumship and paranormal stuff. I mean, anything like that or something you've heard or something you know like I said, anything metaphysical, spiritual, like I said, paranormal, mediumship, all that kind of cool things would definitely be like I said, they're kind of like I'm all open for it today. But like I said, I just didn't uh um it just one didn't stand out as much as I thought it would, like they normally do, and that's okay. I mean, this week was, I really wanted that live reading show for everybody. I did a very classic where it was just whatever my guides or if somebody came through for that person popped up. Like I said, it's usually about a message or two. Most of the time I was able to at least give two messages and um, kind of throw them at there. And I think that's even something I did want to kind of talk about too, was that, you know, all of us that do readings like this and stuff, it was, you know, uh, we're all different. You know what I mean? There's obviously a commonality to it. And I think, like I said, I wanted to, highlight some things so that some of so anybody that, is interested in the future, and if you really want to, a full on private session with me, you kind of have an understanding. So a lot of times, my stuff's always been visual, whether it's a picture that they show me or a video. And, very rarely do I get to hear anything. And that's just how it worked out. There's some mediums that they hear more than they can see. They can just hear what's going on. So, everybody's a little different. There's nothing wrong about any of it. It's just how it works for said individual. And so once in a blue moon, I'll hear some things, which is great. I always appreciate that. But half the time, I have to look at the image and I have to describe the image or describe what's motion and things are happening. So and when I give messages out, I just kind of throw it at you guys. It's like, well, this is what I'm seeing. You know what I mean? Or I have a question on what I'm seeing. So I'm saying, do you ever know like this? And it's not a phishing tactic, which, the fraudulent mediums will do. They try to pick you out. But see, what I do is sometimes I ask the question and describe why I'm asking the question because this is what they're showing me. It's because I have a question and they don't always fully explain it all. They just said, here's the image. And, we all know, we've all heard, a picture, can be 1,000 different things, 1,000 different words. And so, or take it 1,000 different ways. So I usually tend to try to go off of what then feels right with the situation. Like several of the readings, Wednesday night and the ones I filled, accomplished yesterday, I can say it kind of looks like it could be one of these two ways, but that's why sometimes it's just good to throw it at somebody and be like, hey, this is what it is. Now, I don't know anything further. They're not showing me anything, but they just throw me the picture. They show me the little video image of it. And that's all I get. And I don't be frustrated with that because if I did be, if I was frustrated, then it's going to get a little bit worse. I'm going to have, the images aren't going to be really clear. It's going to be really foggy or they're not going to show me at all anymore because they're just like, dude, just go with it. so, so I just appreciate whatever they can give me. Sure, it might not be a lot. And then sometimes for some of you, it doesn't, it doesn't always make sense. And that's okay. Because a lot of times when I throw the stuff at you and other mediums too, whatever information we give you, whether it's, from our guides or from, some spirit, from a loved one and stuff that comes through, it could be confusing, but always hold on to that information. You'll be surprised that sometimes later on, sometimes right after the event, the next day, the next week, the next month, that message that you got that was so confusing and just didn't make any sense or wasn't what that you would think that they would say shows up. And I cannot tell you the countless times I've gotten messages that when I gave something that was just utterly ridiculous, that would seem ridiculous, and they come back to me and they're just like, when you said this or when that was the message I came, I'm like, yeah, hey, Carmen, how you doing? Then it's hilarious because then they share that story and it's like, woo, you know what I mean? And so that's the fun part is that even though I don't know what's going on, I'm just sharing what they give me, but then it's neat to hear how then it factors in with the rest of the time. And so it's, so cool. So I never, I guess that's just sort of how I wanted to explain myself a little bit more. So that way people, when they do get a reading from me, it's, we just get what we get and throw it, right at you guys and say, hey, this is what they're saying, or this is what they're showing. And a lot of times it makes sense. And then other times it doesn't, but I always say, keep it. see what happens in, a little bit later on. So, um, I do have to stop for just a moment because I have to, I wanted to give a quick shout out to some people. Carmen, who just joined in, really great friend of mine. Another fantastic she's a medium. She knows it. She's just kind of the quiet type, but she does a lot of healing and other wonderful things, and works with a lot of herbs and things and making medicinal applications and things like that. And so, um, what was really cool was, I keep in touch with Carmen. She's one of my people I talk to a lot. And my other friend, Jen, who I don't know if she's in right now, but I know she's got a session at 10 o'clock. So sometimes she's here too. But this week, Carmen's granddaughter turned 1, and so it was really special to, she's now 1 years old. So her daughter or her granddaughter, Stella, turned 1 this week, and so I to say it officially, I wanted to tell Tala, who's the mom, in a way, congratulations, happy birthday to Stella again, because I know I said it privately, but I wanted to throw it out there. And they're having a big family friend party in a few hours, so I hope that's going to be a fun time. And then I can't forget Kate, because Kate's Carmen's other daughter. So I wanted to make sure I said hi to all of them, because they're all three of them are great ladies. And it's oh, there's Jen. She's around. I thought you were going to be prepping a little bit, but I know sometimes you pop in briefly before you got to go. So thank you, Jen. But yes, I just wanted to throw a shout out to little Stella for being 1, because it was neat. Was last summer or something like that. I went over to Carmen's. First time we've seen each other in a long time, and so we were hanging out on her property, and Tala came over with Stella, and so she was only months old at that point, but we were hanging out. But I guess Carmen was telling me about that. If she was like kind of babysitting a little bit in the morning, she'll put my show on, my morning show. And I guess Stella was really glued to the TV. I kept thinking, well, the beer didn't scare her, make her, scream and cry. you know, you get this kind of look, and, you never know what kids are going to do. And, but if they only got to know me, they know that I'm kind of fun. And, but I get the physical appearance could be a little rough, but that was cool to have her, even months old, to be kind of glued to the screen and hear me talking and stuff like that. So so hopefully I'm giving off the right energy, right? It doesn't seem like I'm all negative. I think you all agree I'm not too negative, right? Yeah, that's true. It's true, Dad. but but yes, I just wanted to hope the party goes great for Carmen and Tala and the granddaughter Stella, and hello to Kate and stuff. So they're all like prepping and getting food ready and stuff like that right now. So had to stop for a moment to say hi to them and hope they have a good time today. But yeah, so I knew, like I was talking about, the whole mediumship thing and the readings and stuff. So you guys ever get a reading from me, that's just kind of how it goes. And so they pop in, I throw it back out to you. Sometimes, like I said, I try to help. You're welcome, Carmen. And I tried to, uh, you know, I try to give you a couple different things to think about just to help because sometimes obviously if it's really confusing, it doesn't make sense. I kind of throw you a couple of things that me logically would try to lean towards, or what I've seen in previous readings from others, what it might be closer to, or what they might be sort of trying to push me towards. Because like I said, sometimes with the images, you can take it a million ways, but you kind of have to go with what's going on in your life. And I obviously don't know everybody's life that well. And I didn't want to, I don't want to, just throw stuff out there to throw stuff out there. So, but I throw the main thing out, and then I kind of give you some ideas to think about that might help trigger it a little bit easier or make you think about something. And because like I said, some of the things I've done, I mean, I see it for how it is. And I know she won't mind me saying it, but my teammate, Jen, she was one I didn't get to on the show. And because it's, if you went back, you can actually read the message I sent her. But she, one of her messages was really cool, was that it came up that I kept seeing like the fingernails and toenails being done and massaging. So I'm like, well, that's got to be like a spa day. So I mean, I kind of describe it like that. I'm like, I'm seeing you getting your nails and toes done and massages and stuff. So it's like, you got to like get scheduled and stuff. And she commented back like I don't know like a hour or so later, and she was just like, we, I was just talking to my friend about that. Like, we need to have a girls a girls' day and just go get these things done. I'm like, there you go. So there's validation right there. So and that's what's fun about it is when they come up like that. It's like, well, where did that come from? Well, that's what they're saying or trying to encourage you to run with it. I mean, and that happens a lot. It's like with my guides coming in, a lot of it is going to be personal. It's not so much that because they're quick, your loved ones or who you really want to come through, don't always show up on the quick ones because, it's not that it takes time. It's just me jumping from person to person. A lot of times the spirits just don't have a lot to throw in there. So and then see Tammy, she got, I wrote, I think she was one that I hit yesterday. That's awesome. I mean, like I said, you throw it out there, and it is what it is. And I think that's also special that here it was, I didn't have to be live with the 10 that I read for yesterday. This was on my lunch hour at work, you know, and that's just the cool thing about it, just seeing the person saying like Tammy, I'm calling her out. But I saw her, I just saw her name and boom, stuff started coming in and I'm like, okay. So I start typing it out, and I think that's really cool about that. You don't always have to necessarily be live with somebody. For me, it's my intention to be like, hey, let's see what's going on. You know what I mean? And so it's, a lot of that I'm not like most mediums, they're on, like 24/7, which is fine. If that's, hey, Kelly, good morning. And if, that's sometimes because that's all they've ever known since they were, little kids is that they're just on, everything's coming, all times of the day and night. And that's how it is. Now, as I've always said, I'm a late bloomer into it. And even though I probably should stop that because it's been several years now, more than several years, but I, I've worked at it so much that, I've learned to kind of, hey, what's going on? How you doing? And, I turned when I I literally picture when I do mediumship and stuff like that, it is a switch for me. It like physically looks like a switch on a wall. And I've done it that way because before I opened up the mediumship door, I uh I wanted well, when I was learning how to talk to my own guides, that's what it was. You go in, you talk to them, ask questions or get the information that you need, you come out and then you move on with the rest of your day. And so in a way it's like an on up, hey Dennis, how you doing? um sorry. But that's how it works. It's basically, I go in, turn things on and turn things off. So I know like some people, are just like, well, what are you getting? And it's like, well, I'm not really on right now. It sounds weird, but I kind of appreciate that I've set that up for myself, that even with mediumship, because like here, I'm at my home and hey, Mary, how you doing? You're right. You're right. And so like at home, if I'm off at home, unless I'm going to work with a client, do a session, that's, but I turn it on, we do what we got to do and we shut it off. Wednesday nights readings, turn things on, boom, 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 you're in and out. You know what I mean? So, and it's not a speed thing. It's just, that's how I enjoy it. Because I don't want things bothering me all the time. Not that it bothers me. How many times can I say bother? But but that's what I'm saying. I don't need things waking me up in the middle of the night. I don't think I just don't need the constant, hey, can you reach out to this person? Can you no, no. So in a way, I've adapted the learning how to talk to my guides with the mediumship. So yeah, when I'm going to do a session, boom, the switch goes on, take a couple deep breaths, we get into it, and like I said, I appreciate that. Is there anything, there's nothing saying it's right or wrong what I do. There's also nothing wrong, with what others do. You know what I mean? It's how it works for you and how you choose to move through it. Now, I used to have a long time, and I think now that I've been around for a little while, that most people know not to kind of, I used to get a little bit of pushback on it. Look, you can't turn this stuff off. And I'm like, Yeah, you can. know, and it's fine. Like I said, I get it, but see, you know, when I've been told that, well, that's because they're speaking on themselves because they can't turn it off. But I'm different in the way that I adapted it to work that way. I wanted it to work that way. That was the whole point, was that I'm going to turn things on and off, use it when I need to use it. You know, now what doesn't stop me is going out into public, which, obviously we're getting back into things. Things are opening, back up slowly. So we are starting to get around people. Uh, Grocery shopping can be difficult because I don't need to see what's going on. I can just feel it, and I can't shut that stuff off. So in a way, there is stuff that happens that I can't turn, you know what I mean? And so that's why, the sensitive side, the empathic side, that doesn't go away. That's always on all the time. So if I'm out in public and you can feel the energies, okay, there's something going on, and that's where I get to decide: do I want to open up and figure out what's happening, or do I just want to, I don't really like how negative that feels. I'm just gonna leave it be, and I'm gonna go about my way, which is the whole idea. I don't want to always deal with everything because, again, I've talked about and I'll talk about this before I get to a couple of things. This is why I said, and maybe I'd get into something and we would just hang on it for a little while. But uh, the one story which is hilarious to this day. Yes, I know, Mary. I know we're the same. And I'll tell you guys one story. And I've said this before, so it's been a while. So I think, if you've heard this before, at least you can chuckle again at this. But uh, you know, uh, living in the Toledo area, there is a theater called the Stranahan. And basically, my wife and I get season tickets to go to, mostly they're all musicals, all the popular ones will come through. They're touring groups. They come through, they put out a production, for 3-4 days. And we have a matinee on Saturday. So, it's during the day, no big deal. So we start at 2, we come home, usually right around somewhere, we could be home at 5 to 5:30, somewhere in that range. Well, when we come home, we have to cross over a river between the town right next to us, which isn't, right where the theater is. It's still a little bit further away, but we go through the one town, go over the bridge into our town. And when you're coming up to the one light, there is a huge cemetery, huge old cemetery that's off to our right. And I'm not going to say the names and stuff like that, but a big cemetery. And my wife, ironically, was driving that day. Typically, I drive all the time, but I'm like, I think, because I drive during the week, I think I just was like, can you drive this, today? She's like, yeah. But I'm sitting in the passenger seat and I look over at the that's right, Dad. But I'm looking over we're at the stoplight. I'm looking over at the cemetery and I said the dumbest thing you could probably do. And I said, in my head, so my wife didn't hear this. I mean, I told her you'll hear how this ends, but I said, gee, I wonder if there's any spirits, ghost there. No sooner did I say that, it was like the cemetery came alive. I kid you not, there was spirits, apparitions, entities walking everywhere within this fenced cemetery. And of course, my eyes went, holy smokes. But other choice words were, really in my head. I'm like, okay. And a couple of them that were closer to the fence stopped, turned, and looked at me sitting in our vehicle. And I'm freaking out, going, oh God, don't come over. Well, what do? They start coming over. I'm like, oh, see, here we go. Here we go. So they're walking, these two spirits are walking towards me. And now this is the fun part. So this is like when an investigator's, dream is too. I'm looking at them walking. I look up at the traffic light and I'm doing this back and forth. So I'm taking my eyes off. So if my vision was really messed up, I still wouldn't be seeing. Every time I take my eyes on, they're coming closer and they're coming closer. And so I'm doing this back and forth thing. And when the light turned green, I just remember saying, not really loud, but I was just like, go, go. He's like, what? I said, I'll tell you in a minute. Just go. And so we get through the light, they were probably within 6 feet of the vehicle. We get through the light And she's like, "What was that? What's going on?" And so I tell her that. She goes, "Well, don't do that." And I said, "Yeah, well, it was a test in my head, you know." And that's one of those first ones for me about turning things on and off. That's when I realized that that's how, dramatic it can be for me. It's like, boom, you turn it on. Hello, everybody. There you are, you know. And so it was hilarious. And so that's why I like to, bring that up once in a while, because it just can show you what, you could be completely closed off. Oh, it's a cemetery. It may have things in it. It may not. Maybe it's all nice. I don't know. But then you go, oh, I wonder what's in there. Boom. Ah! Now, I wasn't freaked out. I just wasn't sure what was going to happen when they got to the vehicle. Were they going to try to jump in? Were they going to try to have a conversation with me? Because a lot of us mediums know that, my infamous statement is always, we are the light in a sea of darkness. And the darkness isn't necessarily a bad thing. We just don't know everything that's out there. But sure enough, I mean, you can have good and bad things, roaming around, but they see that light, everything flocks to it. And that's the whole point. So that's why I don't want to do it all the time, because even though they know I'm around, they can't knock on the door, so to speak, and be like, "Hey, can we talk to you?" Doesn't work that way, you know. Kind of putting the hand out, talk to the hand. So, but so that's kind of, that was kind of fun. That's a little bit more of the mediumship side of things. But I did want to bring up, and by the way, I just saw it, so it flipped, but it was 1001, so it was 1001. So if you guys are into numbers, there you go, 1001. Um, but I wanted to talk, today finally, and I think anybody that was following my page all week, got to see something. Once in a while I catch them, but this week was pretty cool at work. Was I was able to catch the sunrises Monday through Friday, so all 5 days. So it was really cool. And a couple of the days were at one building, and the other, the last few days have been at a different building. And it was, it's always great to kind of see something like that. And I know that a lot of people, are still sleeping. They don't always get to see the sunrises. And, you know, we, and when we see them, we just, oh, that's cool. It's the sunrise, and I think, I looked at it and it hit me, I think on Wednesday, that it's, it really, it, I mean, again, you guys saw the photos and stuff. They were beautiful things. And, granted, cameras don't always capture the whole thing. And even I was using my phone. So, but to just get to experience it, to see, a true start to the day, and to see the sun for the very first time. I mean, it took a couple days, but Wednesday I was, I was sharing it with somebody, probably either Jen or Carmen. And I just met him, like, it hit me while I was just, I'm like, hey, I caught another sunrise because I didn't see the post yet. And I'm like, it got me a little choked up. And it was, I mean, it was good, but it was a good, emotional moment. And it was, I think it just hit me finally, like I said already, but I finally got to appreciate that, being able to being in the right place at the right time, being able to see the start of the day, but then, doing more of a modern shamanic lifestyle, the whole nature stuff, is huge. And a lot of times that's what they've done. I mean, true shamans, I mean, they live out in the middle of nowhere. They see the sun come up, they see the sun go down, and everything in between, as far as, full moons, new moons, and all the, celestial events, and solstices and stuff. So, I mean, all that stuff plays in. And it, I don't, and it was good that I got to experience all those days. But even then Thursday morning, when I was capturing it, then it was like, okay, now I was getting a lot more emotional over it, because it just, I couldn't believe 4 days in a row. And the way it, it was all unfolding, and the colors and stuff was just like, oh my gosh. I mean, I had to stop what I was doing and just look at it and watch it, and, take some series of photos and stuff, and just be grateful for that moment. And, like I said, we sometimes forget about that stuff. We forget how important it is. And, I looked at it too as, to get this, to see it, with my own eyes, and capture it, and then share it with everybody. But it goes without saying is that something can happen, that day or the next day, and maybe I won't be able to ever see it again. And try to look at it in a sense of that you need to appreciate them no matter how routine it might be. We can't lose out on the things that are right there. And when you get to appreciate it, it sits a little bit more inside of you. It hangs more. So if, let's say, I go blind tomorrow, I'll still have those images burned inside my brain, and you can't take that away from me, and I'll always remember that. I can still describe them in the clouds and stuff. That's, important. And again, I think that's why I wanted to share it, because it kept happening every day. And by the, yesterday, still seeing it, you know, it's like I really wanted to get that message across. And maybe some of you picked up on it, maybe some of you didn't. But that's why I thought I wanted to explain it a little bit more today, was that, sometimes we got to stop what we're doing. And it came through on some people, for their messages on Wednesday and stuff. Sometimes we just got to stop. We can't always be rushing around, because we are missing out on things. And to see what might be a standard or simple sunrise is more than just that. It really can be so profound, and to open your heart to it, you could probably get in the same boat as me and just get emotional over it in such a loving way. And just to appreciate the fact that you were awake at that time. And by the way, I'm not saying you guys have to set your alarm. You don't have to wake up for it. I'm just saying is that, even seeing sunsets wherever you are, um, or even then, just anything that just stands out in nature, stop for a moment. It doesn't have to be, anything but the sky. It could be something on, in the trees or on the grounds or whatever, animals and things. Just stop and admire it. I'm telling you, when you open yourself up to it, it just, you can feel it. You know what I mean? It's just like, oh, that's cool. And then you move on or take a photo. Okay, whatever. And you just, that the attitude just doesn't compute, that when you really open it, you're like, holy smokes, are you kidding me right now? Um, let's see, what is Kelly saying? I've seen some beautiful moons leaving the house for work, but I really like driving into work at the day. Yeah. Like I said, you get so used to seeing it one way. And then when you get a chance to see something else, it just, you gotta take it in. And Donna, yeah, I see it on my way to work over the, yeah. And see, that's cool too, is just to get the experience from a different angles. And the second building I was in to capture the last few days, I even went, they have a third floor. So I went up to the third floor to try to get a little bit higher elevation, to maybe get a little bit more of the skyline in there. I didn't get to yesterday. I didn't get to go to the third floor, but I stayed on the second floor. So the photos I posted yesterday were all on the second floor. But still, it just to get to see it. And even then, you can really take that in there and start your day, much like what Kelly and Don are saying, you're seeing it on there going to work and stuff. I mean, that's the stuff that should just fuel you, that's kind of like that jolt. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. You know what? No matter what happens today, even if I am stressed to the gills over work or whatever's going on in your life, you can't take away what you see, what you saw, that sunrise. And just to know that you could come home, you might be you might be upset, you just might be exhausted, you might be tired, but then you could have that memory of that morning event, that sunrise, and just be like, yes. And that could just be the one little moment or 1 second that can just sort of erase what happened during the day. So, give it a try. You know what I mean? And like I said, you don't have to get up early. I mean, unless you want to. But just to capture those things. And so, like, this morning, I was thinking, I'm like, maybe I can, capture something here at home. And then when I was looking out, you know I'm in a neighborhood, obviously, and I've posted some photos before, and I'm in the neighborhood, and when I was looking towards the sunrise, it wasn't the same as all week. It was just mostly, some yellows, wasn't even some oranges. It was just some yellows and some clouds. And I'm like, oh, it doesn't have the same effect. Plus, I couldn't see the sun until it got over the houses. And so it was not the true sun breaking the horizon either, that I was fortunate to see for 5 days. So I didn't get a chance, but I mean, it still was amazing. I still looked out the window, and saw, the yellows at least, but I would have taken some photos, but like I said, the houses just blocked everything and really didn't get us the whole good opportunity to see it. So, but sometimes when and that's out my back, when I go out my front, which is behind me, sometimes the sunset is a lot better out the front. I can get a bigger picture of the skyline, even though the houses and there's a big patch of woods back there, but you can see everything kind of funneling through the houses and trees, which is always cool too. So, hey, look at that, 1010 1010. So look at that. So not only did I have 1001, I've now had 1010. Woohoo! Those are numbers, people out there. You gotta love that. Now we're doing great on time, and I got one more thing that I was going to share, and then this was neat. This I almost brought it up on last week's show, and then, but I just thought it was kind of a fluke thing, and I didn't think it was like legit or anything. And so this week I started paying attention to it a lot more. And if you guys saw the show notes, I put on there, I said new healing indicator. And if anybody saw that and looked at it or read it, be like, what the heck does that mean? So I, for the second full week now, something super strange started. Now, like I said, at first I'm thinking, well, is this some type of health thing? Should I be concerned? And after a couple days of it, it was at weird times. And I wasn't at that point, I was still thinking health related versus something else. And so I just kind of went into last weekend with it, just still kind of ignoring it other than when I feel it. And I was, like I said, I was just kind of trying to figure it. And finally, when it's kept happening, I then was like, okay, I'm going to start seeing if this happens during certain moments or certain things, I'm doing, or certain people I'm talking to, and see if it, flares up. So this is what's going on, which is just completely weird. So my right hand, which might look is left on your screen, but my right hand, okay, my ring finger on my right hand will get super warm, not on the outside. So my finger will still feel, normal temperature compared to everything else. But inside my finger would get really warm to hot. And I'm thinking, like I said, you think about heart conditions and stuff, like you get numbness and things and tingling in your fingers. And, that's where I was thinking, what's going on with my right hand, but only the one finger. And it's not like, I do wear a ring on that finger, but that it's really loose. So it's not tight. It wasn't bent or, I mean, I'm doing all the, debunking and trying to figure things out like, good investigators should. But then I realized it was popping up at times again, when I'm talking to people or I'm near people, like at work, and, I'd feel this internal heat, and it would only be usually near the end, usually around the first knuckle to the fingertip and stuff, but it never was numb. It never was tingling. It was just a straight up heat. That's true. It's true. But it was this odd feeling. And again, I'd feel this heat in like last week or the week before, I would, quickly, you touch your lip for heat, when you're a parent and you've tested the, foods and stuff, you always touch your lip to see if it'll be okay for your kid. So I'm still doing that now, but I'm touching my lip and I'm like, it's cold, but yet I feel this internal heat and I'm like, wow, that's so weird. But it came up, and Carmen actually was the one that first said it. And then I shared it with Jen, and both of them were on the same page. Student, I'm like, well, what do you think? And so if you guys remember when I did last year, which a lot of months, usually it was near the fall, all the way, technically still, even as we got into January, say it's going off right now. See, I'm feeling it. See, I'm talking about it. See, I'm feeling an intense heat right now. This is what I said, when certain topics, certain people I'm talking about, it's going on. Woo! See? And it's ice. My fingers, cool. That's just like the other ones, the same temperature. Okay. So see, you're getting to experience this live with me. But I was going through those upgrades, and those upgrades had everything to do with healing. And you guys remember I talked about a Pleiadian that came through, and he was the one that was being, was my teacher, was teaching me healing. And so it was, like I said, if you guys remember, his name was Silasar. And it just, Carmen said at first, she goes, I wonder if Silasar is giving you like an indicator when like you're going to be around somebody that needs it, because I'm shut off a lot. I can't always pick up on somebody unless I basically get, I open up to things. But this has always been an indicator, now, at least the last couple of weeks, that certain times I talk about something or I'm talking as boom, this thing goes off. And I'm like, And so this week I took notice of it. So I'm like, wow, well, this is odd. You know what I mean? So, uh, and that would be a good confirmation for me right now is that here it is. I'm talking about the upgrade. So obviously there's validation to it saying that, yes, that's your indicator from now on. Okay. so, so now the real question is be if I'm around you and this thing goes off. That sounds scary. This thing starts lighting up. Am I supposed to tell you about it? Hey, you could use some healing. So, got to be fun. I got to have some fun with it. You know what I mean? Remember, positive energy all the time. And even then, I'm not trying to put you guys to sleep with babbling for an hour either. But it would be. I mean, it's fascinating to think that if I and this is what will be my next round of things is now when I'm around more people will this happen? And especially like at least the ones like with like the team Sweppy, when we're at events like we're going to be back at the mill in a couple weeks and it'll be fascinating to see if anything goes off with some of the team members and I'll be like, hey, you want to come over here for a minute? So I don't know, Dad. I mean, like I said, this sucker just goes off and it's like it is so weird because it's just like you feel and you're like, nope, feels the same, but yet inside just this crazy feeling. But it's just such a cool little trigger. And I'm like, hey, you got Harry Potter waving a wand around and stuff like that. I guess I can wave a ring finger around people. Who knows? I know, Mary. That's why I said it kind of is hilarious the way if I think about it like that, I gotta make sure I don't go too far off the rail on that one. So, but yeah, it was such a neat thing. So, like I said, I have to keep everybody posted on this because I'm more curious because who would have thought? I mean, and I get it because it's obviously not doesn't stop me from moving and doing things and stuff. So, I mean, I'm able to still function properly. I don't think it does. It just as Mary quoted me, it just goes off. So but, but like hey, if that I'm okay with that. I mean, if that's going to help me real quick and be like, you know what, we need to talk a little bit more, or hey, I need to pull you aside and like what's going on, or I need to turn flip my switch so that way I can then kind of get an idea and then use my hands and pick up the energy that you're giving off to see if there's something I can do. And if that's the case, I'm all in. I mean, I'm not going to take the healing upgrade that I went through, for 4 or 5 months and for granted. And if there's things that help me identify, people that need something or while I'm working on somebody and it shows up, I mean, that's the whole point. Like healing is a big push this year for me. And um right. But that's going to be fun moving forward. I mean, I'm really excited to explore it more, do a couple more, work a few more things with that and then see what happens, and that'll be, awesome. I know what you meant. I know what you meant. But yeah, I mean, it'd be hilarious. Like Dad, you said about Rudolph. I mean, this sucker glows. If this turns red or something like that, everybody better watch out because I'm probably not human anymore. This thing lights up without a light on it. That's it. Show's over. I, I don't know what anybody's going to think at that point. He's possessed with an alien or something. Woo. But, and I've never heard of that, because it's one thing that where, you get a lot of healers and stuff. They'll put their hands near somebody and they can kind of wave their hands around, like arms and, feel when they feel and they'll feel that energy bounce and it'll definitely be weird. They might not know exactly right away. Right, Kelly. But, and I've done that too, when I'm, working on somebody in person. And I do it spiritually too. So if I do the remote view for a healing, that's what I'm doing. I'm checking everything and I'm kind of looking through. Now, when remotely I do it, I get to see the person a little bit different eyes. And I've talked about this before, but I'm able to see the areas that need the work before I even have to like put my hands anywhere near them spiritually. In person, sometimes I like to kind of check a little bit, especially if they're asking for something. If I'm just doing a generalized cleanse, I don't really need to go around to everything because I'll just still see it. But sometimes it's nice to kind of do, to pick up on that with your hands and stuff. So, but if, the fingers giving me an indication like healing. Okay. All right. Well, I will trust it and we will just work through it, and, um, might be weird to me to say it'd probably be the weird thing is be like, hey, being kind of shown that you need a healing right now, and you'll give me, everybody, no, people that don't know me or know me that well be like, what? Just it'd be the same as me coming and go, hey, your grandpa Fred is behind you. He wants to give you a message, and you'd be like, what is wrong with you? So, you know, but yeah. So we'll see what happens and things like that, and it'll be kind of fun. So um, yeah, I mean, that worked out really well. That was better than I thought it was going to be as far as uh, making it to at least this point in the show. Um, yeah, it would be. Hey, my finger's going off. Whoa, I'm going to be in trouble. I'm going to get some black eyes or whatever. Hey, you got to have fun. I can't repeat that enough. We got to have some fun. If we're not all laughing, I'm doing something wrong here, Yeah. but yeah, other than that, like I said, that was kind of burning through some of the things I wanted to mention. I know we still have like about 9 minutes, 8 minutes left, and I don't know if there's anybody's got any other like questions either about like one of the things I've talked about today, or you got something else you wanted to ask. I mean, you could throw it in the comments right now. Um, Other than that, I'm just going to keep babbling for a few more, just because I can. um, and which is hilarious. That's actually something I wanted to bring up one time was, uh, you know, growing up as a kid and things, I mean, I was super shy and my father can attest to that. And, I wasn't one to like just stand up in front of people and do things. Whereas like my dad, he's great at it. I mean, he just gets up and it doesn't matter who it is. He'll just, isn't babbling. It is an app. That's true. That's true. But, my dad, earliest memories and still to this day, I mean, he'll talk to anybody. It doesn't really matter, which is great. I mean, like I said, it's, you know, good, bad, the other, whatever, however you want to look at it. But like I said, it's nice that you can just kind of throw some things out there and not be afraid to talk to people. And uh, I've gone a long way compared to where I used to be. And like I said, I was a shy kid until I got to high school, where I kind of came out of the shell and stopped, being afraid to talk to people. If they don't want to talk, fine, I'll keep going on until somebody does want to talk, and even if it's just a couple words. But um, so it's always involved, and so I've kind of gotten out of that, the notion of being silent. And so I think it's even more fun now that here it is. I'm doing, I've gotten into doing these shows, and when I started off with Debbie, doing Beyond the Silence, I mean, that really, at first it was weird to try to have to talk, even for a few minutes. It was like, where do you get all this information? How can you keep going? And you listen to DJs, on the radio, and you hear them talking and babbling, and and it's like, man, when you get into it and you try to do it yourself, it's like that's a lot harder. And so the more over the years you're doing the shows and stuff, and it's just really helped out to where to think I can, sit here for a whole hour and not, be silent other than take a sip of something or think about something real quickly. But it's a fun little trick. And I just got to be careful that like in public that I don't do that to where I'm like going to talk somebody's ear off either. So again, that's what helps with the energy, being empathic and sensitive. You could tell if you're really boring the crap out of somebody, you'd be like, yep, they're done. And they don't even have to have a look. It's just like, yeah, this is getting old. Okay. And so if you're ever in a long conversation with me and I'm not shutting up, I'll know it. And then I'll be like, I'll stop abruptly. And then that'll be even more weird. Because like, wow, that was weird. He just kind of stopped on a dime. Oh yeah. I knew I was annoying you. Hey, Jeremy, what you got? I'm still that way. I never know what to say to people unless they're talking about something, and I know that I could. Yeah, and again, there's nothing really, there's nothing wrong with it. It's who you are, and that's the thing is, if you're comfortable with it, then there's no reason to change. Now, if you are thinking, hey, I'd like to be a little bit more talkative, well, then you got to work on it. I mean, so, and you just do small things, and obviously it helps. And Jeremy, for you, me, we can go to a paranormal events, and that's probably a great way to kind of like just talk to somebody that's walking around, or if you're both talking to like a speaker that you guys wanted to you don't know this person next to you, but you're listening to at the table of somebody that you look up to or watched on the shows or whatever, you know you can kind of do that look over and easily do that conversation, and that happens a lot. And we've seen it at various events where there's people that see the shows but they've never attended one, and then they realize after a little while that everybody's so friendly, everybody's willing to talk about the stuff, and they were like scared that nobody would listen to them, and it's like it's a shame to think that that's the way it is sometimes, but there's so many stories about that. But it's neat that these people can finally open up and be themselves around other like-minded people, which should be all the time. We should be able to do that anywhere in public, but today's world is a whole different ball game that we're playing. So, but at least we can go to paranormal events and holistic fairs and things, and we can kind of jump on that subject, and um, everything is cool, everything is great and stuff. So yeah, Dinah, I was one of those kids in school where it didn't matter where she made me sit. I would talk to everyone near me, move me. Okay, I'm just going to talk to the new seat neighbor. Yeah, yeah. And see, some people, it's just natural. It's supernatural that it just happens. And a lot of times that can help. I mean, obviously it would, but it can help others that might be quiet. I mean, being shy, it takes a little while to get to open up enough to like just start talking, and then to have a conversation with somebody then for a few minutes. And that's it's tough as a kid, I mean, because we just don't know, and there's you're afraid. I mean, when you're shy, you're afraid of a lot of things like that. So yeah, thank you, Dad. Yeah, that's a great way to say going to Paris is like a brotherhood, sisterhood, all good. Yep, it all is good. And that's what's, I mean, like I said, it's neat when you get the people that come out and they've had some experience, or they've always wanted to meet people they've seen on TV and stuff, and then they run across us, and or whoever, and you can really change a lot about them, and then really encourage them to go to other ones in and around the area, whether it's in the state or out of the state, and travel and hang out with people and realize that you can have a good time, but yeah, I mean, I think it's awesome that we all can go through different things in life and our different pathways and stuff, and we end up doing what we do. We are who we are. We end up where we essentially want to be, or where we should be. Yeah, yeah. Talking to the first timers is always the best. Yeah, it's great because they just are so like blown away by it. And so, but yeah, got a couple minutes left, but yeah, we're it's exciting. There's a lot of it. I know there's one today. I couldn't make it, and but there's one that's up. I think it's in Houghton Lake. It's Potographs. I think it's the third year. So got some teammates up there for that one. That's the event that Tim Miley. So if you guys haven't heard of him, they're putting it on. So they raise money, donations and stuff for a local no kill animal shelter. And so if you've never heard that story, you can always look up Tim and look up Potographs. That's what literally, because it's about animals, so Potographs, PAW. So but it's a great event. I've been to a couple of them and helped out with them, and wish I could have been up there. Other things happened, so I couldn't get away, but family things later on this afternoon. But other than that, it's there's a lot of different events coming up. I mean, I'm doing some stuff. I talked about it last week. There's one coming up in May, which will be in Indiana. So that's more of a holistic fair during the day, and then a ghost hunt at night. So there's that one. And like I said, there's lots more out there. There's some that I just know that people are, the events people I know are going to them, and fellow friends that are speakers, speaking at them. And then obviously there's all the other ones that we know in and around our areas, Ohio and Michigan, obviously, the big ones and stuff like that. And we, granted we don't have it yet, but we are going to be, our team Swippy, we're currently working on, we haven't sent out any, no, we haven't asked, but we got a list of people that we like for our Parafest in November. So we got to start messaging these and see if they're available. So, we're definitely going to be back for year 9. So that's going to be awesome. And so hopefully we can get some more people to hang out with us. I mean, it was a great turnout last year. I mean, way better than I thought, but it'd be great to see even more few people show up, and that way we can have a blast. Because I can't say a whole lot because obviously we got to get things squared away. So I mean, I can't even say who we're thinking of, but we've got some other thoughts about the event, and try to make it memorable for everybody. So if everything works out, it's definitely going to be one that you don't want to miss. And I'm not saying that just because it's the event that I help out with. Um, we've got some cool things that we might be able to do to again make it really memorable and a lot of fun. So it's not going to be one that you're going to want to miss once we get it all squared away. So um, we'll see how it all plays out. But I'm excited to get it all up and running. And so yeah, hopefully next few weeks or so we're going to start getting some messages out to the people we want, and then once we get lineups firmed up, we'll get everything posted so that way I'll get people excited about it. And no father, no Krampus this year. I knew that's what you meant, but no Krampus this year. We got some other ideas. So and Shannon, yes, I'm glad to see the pandemic because it's on its way being over. We can all together. I cannot wait to attend a few. Yeah, Shannon, it's great. I mean, just even yesterday, my the place I work at in Michigan dropped mask mandates, and it was like I mean, you can still wear them. They're still providing them because we have to wear once they provide. But that was like unbelievable to walk through the halls and not wear a mask for the first time. And granted, there's not a lot of people around, so that still helps because everybody's still not fully back yet. But that's going to start changing next month. But just even that is a great indication of we are heading in the right direction. Doesn't mean everything's perfect, but indicators and information and stats are showing that we really can start to get back to normal finally. So super excited. Kelly, yeah, there's, like I said, there's tons of things. There's I know at us at the old mill, we're waiting on some finalizations of some public ghost hunts. It's still not going to be a big number, but even when we max out where we're at, usually we might be able to do it now that a lot of things have eased. We might be able to get back to like 15 people, but you get 15 people at the old mill, you're not stepping on people too much. There's plenty of areas that you can go and not really have contamination. So even for us, there's a lot of opportunity at the old mill that's coming up. We've got a couple dates. We're waiting on the green light so that way we can announce them. I'll do that here as well. And we'll be doing it. We got some privates that people are, booking. So, I mean, but, that's again, private, teams or people that are doing it. And so, but the publics, we want to get rolling. We want to get a few more. And so that's going to be exciting. So, yeah. So, yeah, Dad. Like I said, we're gonna have some more rolling in here. We're just waiting. So, and I know we do. Oh, and at the end of July, we have a big, kind of a big. It's a big event, but it's not like Parafest big, but it's big enough to where, we got a couple of the Tennessee Wraith Chasers are going to be coming out, and they're putting out it. We're actually working with another close team of ours, and they're the ones that know those guys really well, so they helped kind of do it, and we're just using the mill as a place for them to be. They've never been there, and so we're gonna have some fun. There's information on our team site and stuff, and you go to SWPI Spirit World Paranormal and the old mill, haunted old mill on Facebook and stuff. You can see all that stuff that's posted. You can get your tickets for that event. So you get to, depending on what you want to do, there's a meet and greet. And then there's the ghost hunt. So, I mean, if you can't afford the whole thing, you can just show up for the meet and greet. And then if you want to do the whole thing, you can pay for it and then get to investigate with a couple of them. So that's at the end of July. So, all right. Well, I've chatted long enough. So I'm going to get out of here. So yeah, if you can get outside today, if you're in one of these areas that have spiked up in our temperature. So as soon as we get few more degrees, it's going to be fantastic to be outside. So hopefully you guys will step out even for a minute, open up the door, stand on the porch, back, patio, whatever it is, go outside for a minute and enjoy it. You maybe even open up the windows for a minute, get some of that stagnant air that's been in there the whole time. Open up some windows. There might not be a breeze, but just open the windows, just let it out a little bit. You know what I mean? So, hey, what's up, Christopher? Good to see you, sir. Miss you too, man. You just got me at the tail end, so I'm trying to get out of here. So, but yeah, so hopefully you guys will have a fantastic day. And yeah, you guys are awesome. Thank you for hanging in there and listening. And yeah, we'll be watch for more posts as always. And if I see some more great morning sunrises, I will capture them and I will post them for those that would rather stay in bed and sleep. And that's okay too. You can enjoy a little bit of it. So all righty. So you guys have a great one. Kelly, Ramona, Shannon, is awesome to see you guys and everybody else that made it. And I know some people are in and out because it's got things to do today. So I'm out. You guys have a good one. Connie, love and light to you as well. So yeah, thanks again for being here. You guys have been watching Out of the Black Swamp Medium. This has been Mid-Morning Medium Chat, and I will see you again next week, other than post during the week. You know that stuff. Woohoo. So all right, you guys have a good one. All my love, light, and peace to each and every single one of you. And we'll see you again soon. Bye.